When people think about taking their first solo cruise, the first big consideration is often what will be the cost. Cruising solo can be more expensive than going as a couple. But here's the thing, once you understand how the pricing works and where the hidden costs are, it becomes much easier to plan a cruise that fits your budget. And more importantly, a cruise where you don't feel like you've been nickel and dimed at every turn. So let's talk about it. In this video, I'll go over the costs a solo traveler will encounter when booking a cruise, as well as ways that are easy to economize without restricting your enjoyment. Let's start with the biggest extra, the single supplement. Most cruise lines charge you as if there were two people in the cabin, even if there's only you. Depending on the ship and the cabin category, that means anywhere from 25% extra all the way up to double the per-person rate. A few lines offer solo cabins with no supplement, Holland America, Norwegian being two of them. But here's the catch, they're not always cheaper. On Holland America, for example, the Ocean View solo cabin sometimes costs more than if you just booked a regular inside cabin and paid the single supplement. I've done the math, and really I'm usually happy with an inside cabin. It's dark if you want to take an afternoon snooze, it's quiet, and it's in the middle of the ship, which means less rocking if you're prone to seasickness. I spend most of my time outside the cabin anyway. If you want to keep costs down, timing may matter. Traveling in the shoulder season usually means lower fares. Last-minute deals can be excellent if your schedule is flexible and you can readily get to the departure port. Repositioning cruises, where the ship moves from one region to another between seasons, can be real bargains. Although the flights may be trickier and more expensive since the trip starts in one port and ends in another, usually even on another continent. I tend to like cruises that stop at several ports so that I can get off and explore, and repositioning cruises usually have a lot of sea days. But if you just want a break and are happy to read and relax or people watch, a repositioning cruise certainly can be a good deal. When it comes to booking, I often use Vacations to Go. Their prices are competitive, and I've even had a bottle of sparkling wine waiting in my cabin as a thank you. They also have a handy tab on their website that shows cheapest rates for singles. This makes it easy to see whether a sailing has a true discounted rate or whether you're simply paying double for the cabin. Prices are quoted in US dollars, but you can easily switch the site to your home currency. I also check directly with the cruise line. Booking direct sometimes lets you pick your exact cabin location. And like booking hotels directly, when you are dealing with the cruise line directly, if you have any problems, you know exactly where to go to get sorted out. The good news is that prices are more transparent now than they used to be. Up until a couple of years ago, when you saw a price that you thought was good, you were later hit with port fees and other charges that may add a few $100s to the cost. Now, advertised fares include port fees and taxes, so what you see is actually what you'll pay for the cruise, unless of course you add extras, which are always offered to you as you sign up. Another cost that sometimes surprises first-timers is gratuities. Most lines add about $15 per person per day. Now, you can opt out of that at the service desk on the ship when you board and tip the staff directly. But that automatic gratuity charge gets spread across not just your room steward and your waiters, but also on the kitchen staff and others that you never see. Personally, I think it's fair, but I usually give a little extra to my room steward at the end of the trip. One other thing, when you buy alcoholic drinks, even if you have a drink package, there's an automatic gratuity added to your account. So you might want to factor that in when you're deciding whether a drink package is really worth it to avoid surprises later. Now here's where cruise lines really make their money, the extras. They expect two people in a cabin, both buying drink packages, specialty dinners, excursions through the ship, casino chips, spa treatments, maybe even art from the gallery. When there's just one of you, well, their income from that cabin is cut in half. And that's part of why the single supplement exists in the first place. But as for me, well, I don't buy most of it. I don't need several alcoholic drinks a day, so drink packages aren't worth it. I don't gamble. I don't shop. I'm perfectly happy with the included entertainment, the music, the shows, the lectures, the movies. So passing on some of the extras that you really don't need is one way of cutting your costs while you're on board. Dining is included and you have several options. The main dining room offers sit-down meals with a menu that changes daily. And then there's the buffet, open for 3 meals a day with endless choices. And you've also got casual spots like pizza places, burgers, sandwiches, and lighter meals. Specialty dining rooms cost extra, but I never bother. The dining room meals are good. When I arrive at the dining room each meal, I usually ask to be seated with a larger table of 4, 6, or 8 people. Often there's another solo traveler, and I enjoy the conversations. If it doesn't click, I politely excuse myself before dessert and head on to the evening entertainment. Now that's only happened once when politics got a bit heated. When you're traveling solo, you decide if you want to do something different, you can. And using this strategy for dining allows me to meet several different people every day if I so choose. Wine is another area to check. Some lines allow you to bring 1 bottle on board without a corkage fee. Or you can buy a bottle on the ship and they'll store it for you. Nice thing is that they'll pour you a glass from your bottle whenever you want it and wherever you are on the ship, in the dining room, or even on the deck if you like. Excursions can be one of the biggest costs during the cruise, and they're the biggest opportunities to save. Booking through the cruise line is convenient, but it's pricey. I always arrange my own shore adventures. With a bit of planning, I can save quite a bit and often have a more enjoyable day ashore. I've used sites like Get Your Guide, TripAdvisor, and Viator to book day trips. Over the years, I've taken a bus trip into Berlin, gone snorkeling in Costa Rica, and joined a walking group in Dublin. Local operators know the cruise schedules and they'll get you back on time. And if you're in a port city close to the ship, well, sometimes all you really need is a shuttle into town and the day is yours to wander around at your own pace. Cruise lines will warn you that if you're late, they won't wait, and that's true. But independent tour operators know their reputation depends on returning passengers safely and on time. If you follow my channel, you know that I really enjoy the planning part of travel. Figuring out what I'm going to do during a port stop is part of the fun for me. The only downside is that cruise itineraries can change. Sometimes a ship will skip a port or change the day of arrival because of weather or some other condition. For that reason, I usually try to book independent tours that have a fair cancellation policy, or I just arrange something once I get off the ship. I took one cruise up the northeastern coast of North America when a hurricane was hitting a couple of our planned ports. My original plan was simply to wander around in some of the destination cities and to rent a car for a day and another to explore Cape Breton, Nova Scotia. So in the end, the changes to our itinerary weren't difficult for me to adjust. Even some of the excursions sold by the cruise line had to be canceled because the venues themselves were closed with damage from the hurricane. And you might be wondering, what was it like being at sea during a hurricane? Well, the ship just adjusted course, went further out to sea, and we avoided the worst of it. I spent a sunny September afternoon by the pool on a calm ocean, marveling that we were able to skirt the storm that was hammering the coast. Now, don't forget the cost of getting to and from your ship. This isn't part of the cruise fare, but it's part of your real budget. I always fly in the night before because if your flight is delayed, the ship will leave without you. So that means at least one hotel night before I board. Most ships depart late afternoon and return early morning. Usually they give you a time that you're allowed to board, somewhere around noon. Most of the time I'm able to disembark before 9 a.m., so it's pretty easy to catch a flight home later the same day. On board, you don't need to carry cash or a credit card with you. Everything goes onto your account through your room card, and you can check your balance anytime in the cruise line's app. On shore, it's smarter to carry a bit of cash, preferably in small bills. Depending on the region, euros or US dollars can be useful. But more and more credit cards or even tapping your phone's wallet app work almost everywhere. Cash is becoming less essential, although it's handy to have available for small purchases or tips. One other area to consider is your health. There's always an infirmary on board with medical staff, but you'll want to bring your own usual medications and a few extras, maybe some Gravol for seasickness or some basic first aid items. And don't forget medical insurance. Your home coverage won't apply on the ship, and if you need treatment, the bill can really add up quickly. Now, there are always a few other extras that people might forget. Onboard Wi-Fi is expensive, and so is roaming on your home phone network. Coffee shops or port terminals often have free Wi-Fi, so I make use of those if I need them. Ship photographers will try to snap your picture every time you step off, but you can politely decline. I'm fine with my own selfies. Spa treatments, yoga classes, and specialty coffees all add up quickly. I prefer free activities than entertainment, but if you want some pampering, go for it. It's a personal choice. Some ships have self-serve laundromats, but others only offer paid laundry service, and that can be a bit expensive. So yeah, solo cruising is more expensive than if you were sharing a cabin. There's just no way around that. But once you understand the cost, you can decide where to spend and where to save. As for me, well, I like to put my money into the actual travel, getting to new places, exploring on shore, and enjoying the experience, rather than into drink packages or specialty dining. I'm fine with an inside cabin, I enjoy the included entertainment, and I design my own excursions to suit my interests. Now that's the beauty of solo cruising. You spend where you want to spend, and you don't have to compromise with anyone else. If you're curious about Holland America Solo Cabins, I've tagged a video that I made about that at the end of this one. And if you've been on a solo cruise yourself, I'd love to hear how you managed the costs. Was it worth it for you? Leave a message in the comments. Safe travels. See you next time.